You're tuned to Apocalypse Radio.
You are tuned to Heaven Sent with me, James Sent, on Apocalypse News Radio, and right now we are going to talk about the United States of America, who have got a big election coming up on November 5th, and with me on the line from San Francisco, California, we have YouTuber Skyboy.
What's up, James?
Skyboy, welcome.
How's it going, man?
To the show. It's going great, and
Nice.
I tell you what, it's probably not going great for you. Looking at those polls now, this is a bit of a. You must be beginning to really get scared about this Trump presidency. You're a famously ultra-liberal in California there with your political activism on your channel. Seems to be growing exponentially.
Yeah, I try and spread some good news to
Well, it's
people.
turning-
But I'm not sure.
Not much good news for you and your fans coming.
I'm a little
as the
confused.
Donald takes over.
I'm a little confused by what you mean because I've looked at the polls and Harris, Kamala's ahead like 1.5 points.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much across the board.
Yeah, it's not
so-
enough, is it? I mean,
What?
all of these polls. I don't know. You're a bit young.
Well, it's
you're a bit
better to have a
younger than me.
lead, James.
I
Right? It's
see.
better to be in the lead than to be behind with
Oh,
with like a month to
I
go.
fear age is going to tell here. I'm going to have to slightly educate you about the way polling works.
I know, James.
They always
I'm a
skew-
podcaster, James. I know how
They
polling
skew
works.
to the left. They
No,
skew
no,
to
no.
the left.
No, they
a
skew
point,
to the right.
A point and a half lead is not going to be enough. She needs to be 6 or 7 up. If
The
she wants to
idea
win the
that
Rust
the
Belt.
polls skew to the left when Kamala Harris should, looking at the two candidates, she should be, 10, 15 points ahead. The idea that the polls skew to the left is laughable, man. That's
Well,
like,
it isn't laughable. It's the truth. So you are staring down the barrel of another Donald Trump presidency. How's that going to make you feel?
well, I'll tell you what is going to make me feel bad if my data gets stolen.
Right? What's that got to do? I don't think Trump said.
Have you ever had
anything
your
about that.
data stolen, James?
I did a couple of years
Because
ago.
you know
actually.
the only real way to protect yourself and your data is by using a VPN.
Okay.
Like
What- I
the
don't know what
sponsor
that
of
has to
today's
do
stream,
with-
NordVPN.
We don't have a sponsor.
James, if I could just have like 2 minutes, because if you talk over it, then they won't pay you the sponsorship.
What are
so
you
if I could
doing?
just- like the sponsor of today's stream, NordVPN. Go to nordvpn.com/skyboysky and get 89% off your first 2
We didn't
months,
agree
followed
this.
by 63% off the next 2 years of NordVPN.
We didn't agree any
Thanks.
of
That's it.
Why
That
are
was
we
it.
talking?
James,
Right.
anyway.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me-
This is live, by the way. Right. Let's get back
Gotta
to
make
this
that money,
election.
James.
Great. Well, what cut do I get exactly? This is the question. Now, there is a concern that democracy is at stake. Some of the
Absolutely.
slightly
Absolutely.
crazier end
Yeah.
of the left wing in America seem to think
Couldn't
that if
agree.
Donald Trump, with his inevitable victory, is going to somehow end American democracy
Absolutely,
and become
yeah.
some form of dictator.
Well, that's
I
what
mean,
he said, right? I mean,
he said he would be a dictator.
Hey,
Who
I
did
saw.
he say that to?
I saw a news article in which somebody reported that they'd
in
heard
the
that somebody
New
had
York
seen that he said
Times,
it.
no
Okay,
doubt.
so it was actually MSNBC, James. All right, it was
Right,
MSNBC
they said-
online.
So somebody
and
eavesdropped on him saying, "I'm going to be a dictator."
That's a trustworthy news source. Okay, they said
Straight
somebody
down the
heard
line,
somebody
they
say
are.
that they saw him say it, and that's worrying, man.
They
Like
saw him say
that,
it.
like let's say
Somebody saw him
First
say
of all,
it.
Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are going to win the election. I mean, they're a point and a half ahead.
That's not
It's
enough.
in the bag. We can call it now. It's
Failure's
in
in the bag.
But let's
The-
just
the
indulge.
failure bag.
Let's just indulge this like horrible fantasy that you're painting for the listeners.
It's not
okay?
my fantasy, it's
because
reality.
let's say that Donald Trump does win. Okay, God
Yeah,
forbid.
which is
let's
going to
say
happen,
it's
I
not
know.
likely,
I
but
don't-
let's
I hate to
say
disappoint
God
you.
forbid Trump does win. That is the end of America as we know it, man. Like. That is our institutions, and
Oh,
that
so
is
you're one
that is
of
our
these
government
lunatics.
out of the window.
You're
Things will
one
never
of
be the
these
same.
lunatics.
Things will never be the same, okay? And you only need to look at what he has reportedly said to
What,
to
that he'll
see.
be a dictator, that somebody somewhere heard him say
There's
it,
loads
so
of
it must be
there's
true.
loads and loads and news item after news item of terrible opinions this guy has and terrible things that he said.
They keep
it's
repeating
not
it.
it's not coming to mind. But listen, James, I've had dozens
You're
and
going-
dozens of experts on my podcast who all agree with me
expert
and
YouTubers.
who have all said exactly the same thing that I'm saying now. So that means that we must all be right.
Well, okay, so you've been talking to lots of people in California who tell you that Donald Trump is a bad guy.
Absolutely,
The problem
James.
your side have is they're trying to scaremonger about a guy who's already been president. If he wasn't a dictator last time,
and we barely survived it, James. We barely survived it, man. We barely survived it. We can't take another 4 years of Donald Trump. We just can't. But luckily, we don't have to, because we got Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are going to lead us into a shiny new progressive utopia. Okay?
Shiny new bathroom, as you guys say, straight down the toilet. The reason you're going to lose is nothing to do with Donald Trump, frankly. It's more to do with the fact, the age-old question, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Absolutely, man.
And the majority of Americans are going to say no. And that
James,
is why you lose.
that is not
whether
true.
you were up against
That
a
is not
cardboard
true.
cutout or not.
Everyone that I speak to on my podcast, every guest I have, and every person that I've been on their podcast as well as a guest, every single one of those people is way better off than they were 4 years ago. Way better off.
Yeah, in California.
Like units of magnitude better off.
Your pals with their growing subscriber bases on YouTube.
Yeah, it's been great, man. It's been great for business. Like, obviously, he's an existential threat to democracy, but like, you gotta love those dollars rolling into the bank account.
This is one thing you haven't considered. If Kamala Harris wins, then you're not going to have anything to talk about. Donald Trump goes away, and so does your engagement. What do you think of that?
There's always sponsorships, James.
All right.
Sponsorships.
VPN, just in case somebody steals your data. I shouldn't even mention.
Now you're getting on board. I like that. Now you're signing up. Yeah.
You should have cut me into that deal.
Well, you can use the code and get 89% off your first month.
Oh, goodness me. No doubt you'll be talking about everything else you're selling if we're not too careful.
Speaking of which, actually, if I could take this moment, we've actually got a merch store that we just opened up. If you go to www.skyboy.store, we got mugs with my face on. We've got t-shirts with our slogan on. We got I'm voting for Kamala.
There's a slogan on the t-shirt. I don't know what's going to happen.
No, it's save.
I'm in for a terrible surprise.
It's Save Democracy 2425. Okay, so yeah, head to www.skyboy.com/store to get your merch there.
You should be great.
Oh, and head to youtube.com/Skyboy. We just hit 27,000 subscribers. Come and be a part of the community. It's a great place to be. Everybody's welcome as long as you're a left wing.
You should thank Donald Trump, because when he wins, you got 4 years of talking about things. If he loses, you got nothing to say. Anyway, that's it. Thank you, Skyboy, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, James. It's been great talking to you, man.
After these messages that people have actually paid us for.
Thanks, dude.